evening, YouTubers that fell asleep in front of the telly whilst watching something remotely interesting, and I've dropped onto your channel, or whatever it is you're watching. Take my wallet out of the back pocket, not that it's full. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have a rummage through my modelling box because I've recently moved house and it's full of crap and needs tidying up. And I'm going to regale you with a couple of tales of why Googling certain things when you're a small boy at a private boarding school in the north of Nottinghamshire is not always a good idea. However, I didn't realise that Googling said things was a bad thing until I was 30. I mean, I'm 35 now, and it must have been, another flying hour. Come back to that in a bit. So, have you ever gone through life and then on a random Tuesday, your brain's gone, psst, hey, remember that thing you did that was really cringy? I'm going to tell you all about it. Yeah, well, that's kind of what happened. So I was in an IT lesson in school that I went to, and I say IT lesson, it was in an ICT lab. Ooh, ICT lab. All it was a porta cabin with 20 really shit Dell computers in it. Now, if you don't know what Dell computers are, if you go to your kitchen cupboard and get a plastic Tupperware box, paint it black, put a light bulb in it, that's pretty much what a Dell computer was. They were awful things. Anyway, I'd finished the lesson of the day, which was how to type quickly, and it was on a program that was like a car windscreen. And the faster you typed, the faster the car went, and the more spelling mistakes you made, the more insect bugs hit the windscreen. So you can imagine you couldn't see anything through mine because I'm such a spaz. But anyway, finished that, and then the IT teacher said, oh, you can do what you want for the last 15 minutes. Most kids went on paint and drew willies or whatever it is that kids did back then. Excuse me. A lot of people played a game called Big Red Racing. I'll put that up on the screen. It was a really pixelated sort of racing game where you could choose sports cars, helicopters, hovercraft, that kind of thing, and race around. I couldn't be arsed for that. And being the young budding modeller that I am, I went on, I don't even think, because I'm that old, I don't think Google was a thing. So you couldn't go on Google and look at stuff. I think it was Ask Jeeves. Bear in mind, I'm about 5 or 6. So I went on Ask Jeeves. Don't know what the hell that's for. Went on Ask Jeeves and typed in models. Yes, very naive of me, just the word models. And it just came up with a bunch of women. I remember thinking, well, that's not what I want. Get rid of that. So I typed in scale models. Again, it didn't really bring up what I wanted. It brought up locations of shops that sold scale models. That's not really what I wanted. So I typed in weathered models, or I believe I typed in dirty models because I didn't really know what the word for weathering was. Yes, I know, that's my story and I'm sticking to it. So I typed in dirty models, didn't really bring up what I wanted to. It just came up with a bunch of, it didn't come up with pictures or anything like that, don't worry, I weren't looking at titties at the age of 5, but it just came up with weathering tips and that kind of thing, which wasn't what I wanted. I thought, oh, sod this. I'm going back to playing Big Red Racing. Fast forward a couple of days, I'm sat in, excuse me, I can't remember what lesson it was, Land Rover Decals. Sat in whatever lesson it was, and the RS teacher, because back then it was a religious studies teacher, not RE, I think it's RE these days. Religious studies teacher blasts through the door and points at me, a bit like Sharon Osbourne in the Osbournes, and goes, you! Points at me, you know, full on finger in the face, you! He gets me by the ear, by the actual ear, and drags me off my chair. Now this religious studies teacher was a mix of Miss Trunchbull from Matilda, the vicar from Dad's Army, and Miriam Margolyes. So just imagine all of those things bundled together, and that's what you got. This big scary religious woman dragged me by the ear. Actually by the ear. Well, actually she dragged me off my chair first. So she got me by the scruff of the neck, dragged me off the chair, and then got me by the ear and dragged me into the corridor and told me, you are a disgusting, despicable, vile person. The things that you've looked at on the internet are vile, disgusting. And I remember thinking, I've done it wrong. And she said, have you got, can you explain yourself? And I said, well, not really, because I don't really know what you're talking about, which just got her even more angry and angry and angry. That's what I'm looking for. I need that from there. So she got more and more angry and irate and said, you've been looking at disgusting things on the internet, you're foul, and started blasting out religious crap at me. And I will admit, it was only 30 years later that I realised, oh, hang on, I actually get what she's on about now. Because at the time, it didn't really make much sense. I got no idea what she was talking about. So I said, well, yeah, I've been looking at models on the internet. She's like, you foul boy, how dare you look at models on the internet? You're disgusting. Those things aren't there for you to look at. And at the time, I said, well, I don't just like looking at them. I'd quite like to touch them as well. Which, looking back now, I now get is sort of, you know, a bit cringy. In fact, it's a lot cringy. Yes. But back then, I was quite innocent. I didn't know that things like this existed on the internet. I do now. But yes, it did make me cringe quite a lot. Not quite as much as the time I went to go and fetch a car with my best mate from Daventry. Drove down to Daventry. Did the deal. And I shook hands with the bloke that sold him the car. I said, oh, thank you very much. See you later, bye. And there was like he went to shake hands. And I went to fist bump, and then mid-air he went to fist bump, I went to shake hands, and it sort of, yeah, it didn't really work. And then the bloke went, well, that was awkward. Time for you to go now, and I did. And every now and again it pops into my head. I'm like, oh God, and my mate likes to remind me, hey, remember the time we did this? I'm like, yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, so that sort of pops into my mind. Remember that time you got caught Googling models and your teachers thought you were looking for porn, and you weren't, you were actually looking for models. And the more you tried to say, I was actually looking for models, the more your teachers thought you were some kind of pervert. Yeah, that's a bit like that, really. I had to write some massive essay on why women aren't there to be objectified and all this kind of stuff. I remember thinking, this is weird, all I do is look at models, not models. But yeah, that's that, but hey ho. My brain likes to remind me of it every now and again, like, hey, remember this? And yes, thank you very much, brain, thank you very much. I didn't realise I got quite so much in a mess in here. Truck light bulb, anybody? Fishing line, that's what I was looking for, because I need to finish weathering a Challenger. This may look like a makeup brush, and I can assure you it definitely isn't. That's used for makeup. Whilst I'm rummaging, I'd like to say that been looking for that. That's a dozer blade off the front of I think it's off a Challenger. That's the dozer blade front of there. Got 3 sort of bits of advice to give people that I wish somebody had told me a long time ago, but people don't really give advice out when I was younger. It was man up and get on with it, and if you don't sort of get on with it, you're a bit of a wet fart. Number 1 is your parents did their absolute best with you when you were younger. They did what they thought was best for you at the time. They meant nothing but the best for you, and you still turned out the way you did. So either they loved you too much, or they loved you not enough, or if you're the 1% of people who've got just the right amount of loving, well done. How is that bent in the driveway? The rest of us, they did the best. And we turned out just fine, which brings me on to point number 2, which is don't let anybody label you. Don't let anybody label you as weird, as odd, as autistic or ADHD or boring or an anorak for doing things that you love. life's too short to be really, really boring. Oh, I must go and mow my lawn and then go and polish my boots. Be the weirdo that walks to work saying, put that cookie down 3 times. Well, actually I said it 6 times, I didn't realise. So on the way to work, my headphones didn't work, so I'm talking along to myself, as everybody does. Don't pretend that you don't, everybody does it. And I'm saying out loud to myself an Arnold Schwarzenegger impression of, put that cookie down! And I can't do it loud, I can't do it very well on cue. I didn't realise it was a bloke walking behind me. So yeah, be that weirdo. You're only given a tiny spark of madness, you mustn't lose it. So don't let people label you. If your handwriting's not very good, people go, oh, well, you must be dyslexic. No, it's just that I can't be arsed writing. What's the point putting all the effort into it? I can't be arsed. It's like if you're really good at art, if you're really, really good at drawing, then you're just a freak of nature and it's just, you're just really good at it. You can't teach it, it's just there. If you're not very good at maths or English, you're just thick. See, it doesn't match up right, does it? Which, yeah, that brings me on to be the dad that your kids think you are. So your kids, be them 2 months old or 13, think that you know everything. They think that you know how to fix everything, and that, yeah, it's a bit like when you come home and your dog's all excited to see you. Kids are the same. So be the dad that your kids think you are. They already think that, dropping stuff, that you know everything, so let them think it. Eventually they'll grow up and realise, actually, my dad doesn't know anything, he's an idiot. But up until that point, you can enjoy it. And don't compare yourself to the dad on Bluey, because you will only feel ugly. I've forgotten the name of the dad on Bluey. I think it's Bandit or Chili, I can't remember, but parents always say, oh, I wish so-and-so's dad was like him on Bluey because he's amazing, and he is really. We all wish we were like the parents on Bluey. Yeah, your parents did your best. Don't let folk label you, and be the dad that your kids think you are. I've been looking for them, so they're the projectiles for Trumpeter's AS9 thing. It's been looking ages for them. Anyway, back to tidying up now that I've had my waffle. What we got? Oh, I don't need that, that's for cleaning stuff up. Light olive, don't think we've even used that one. These are good. So these are from Albion Alloys. Some of them have got their branding on them, but what I've used those for is, if I can find it amongst all this crap, which I can't. Anyway, so when you cut, I think it's in the bottom bit, when you cut a part off a sprue, these snips aren't very good. But I should just show you on this part here. So once you've cut a part off your sprue, use a scalpel blade or a file. I should have, this is a round file, so it's not the best, but you file the bits of sprue off, which is quite rough. And I haven't got my monitor, so you won't be able to see, I won't be able to see if this is in focus correctly, but it leaves quite a rough edge. And then using this, so it's got an abrasive side and a polished side, it gets a nice, much smoother finish on there instead of a rough side. Which, I don't build a lot of Formula 1 cars and cars these days, but for aircraft it's necessary. Tanks, not so much. It's always good. That's the side sprue from Tamiya's Bradley. I built the later version, that's why I don't need all them side skirts, so that can go in the bin. My missus always asks, where's those takeaway tubs gone? And obviously I've got no idea. But what I tend to do is, because I've got quite a big modelling tub, is put bits and pieces that I need in one of these and only use what I need, and then take it to my dining room table on my cutting mat and do it like that, instead of carting all this around, which is what I'm going to do in a bit. Fishing line, good for hanging stuff from your son's bedroom ceiling. These are quite good. These come in the Tamiya modern military equipment box. I'll put a picture of it on screen. What you do is cut them out with a scalpel, and then you fold them into shape. What I tend to do is paint the back with PVA glue, water down a little bit, let it dry flat, and then cut them out. It just helps give them just a little bit more rigidity. So this is some 3D printed miniatures from Ammo that I bought. It's originally because I wanted to do as a guitar. Just, see, I ain't got my monitor, but just in that bit there was a guitar, which I put on the outside of a AFE Club Scorpion to look like James Blunt. I know, because I'm weird. James Blunt Scorpion. But on here, don't you see that? But it's the world's smallest violin, which I like to point out to people at work every now and again. Yeah. Humbrol acrylic white. Tip guides for guiding your tip. A lot of the stuff you don't realise you've got in your modelling box until you go to empty it out. Model air, most of those have suffered for being in the shed. What have we got there? Oh, it's their headlights that keep. Headlights that keep, and then on these sort of extra bits, so the actual bit that you want is these parts. But then on the end of it, there's a sort of a moulding part that's left over. You throw that bit away, but I use that as a beacon on top of a tank. So cut that out, paint it orange, craft a stalk for it to go on, stick it on the top, and it makes a perfect amber beacon. And then you paint it using Humbrol enamel gloss number 209, which makes a nice amber beacon. My missus always says, wherever's all the clothes pegs gone? It's definitely because I don't pinch them all. These are perfect for holding on to parts when you're painting them so that you don't get covered in paint. So what I tend to do with them is get the part onto paint, hold on to it like that, and then I can paint it without getting silver nails or grey nails or whatever. Because it's no worse than going to work the next day with paint all over your nails and trying to tell your mates that it's actually paint, it's not nail polish, because none of them believe you. Dowel pen. Another story for... Yes, maybe I shouldn't put that story on the internet. That's some of the side skirts for a Challenger, I think, or Chieftain, I can't remember. Chieftain, I think. Humbrol decal fix, used for softening decals, because sometimes they don't adhere to the surface. You try to put them on, so you use decal fix for it. It is a godsend, and I think I've got 2 decal fix. Now that's a sand wash. Now when I weather a tank, I'll show you on the next video, what I tend to use is weathering powders. So I've got that one. I've done one somewhere, can't remember what I've done with it. Ah, there it is. So I use dry weathering pigments. That's a quite dark one. Open it with that covering. So that's dark, sort of soil I get in the UK. And then there's this one which is more of a sandy sort of finish, which I use for Afghanistan, Iraq, that kind of place. Mix the two together, and you can get any sort of variation on the colour you want. That's what I use to get some of the excess off with, so you can get any sort of colour you want. That's the rear diff off an MAN. Get rid of that. I also use Tamiya Weathering Master. I mean, they're quite good for what they are. All it is sort of like a semi-moist pigment. You rub it on the brush, put it on what you want to use, rub it off again. It's not bad. Again, I'll do another video on that and how it works. Pen I've nicked from somewhere. Pens, paper. It's got some of the spares for a Challenger in it. What else have we got? anything worthwhile showing you whilst I rummage. What I'll do is I'll do the main tidying up whilst I'm not filming, because let's face it, it's not interesting. So the glue I use is Revel Contactor Professional. Now there are lots of different glues you can use. There's a Revel version, there's a Humbrol version, which is the thin. What it is, it's on a needle, so you can get it just where you want it instead of slorming it everywhere. And then what we have is this sort, which is a much thicker sort of poly cement, and it's got its uses, but it's really quite limited, really. What I tend to do with that is squeeze quite a bit of it out, if I can find the right brush. Don't think I can, but anyway, squeeze quite a bit of it out onto a palette, get it on a brush, the sort that's not going to melt, and then I use it to apply the extra, what do you call it, high friction surfaces, anti-slip matting on top of the tank by, like that with it. Brush it on in an up and down motion until it goes all sticky, let it dry, and it helps you look like a high friction, like sandpaper that we put on top of a tank so people don't fall off. Let's have a look in the bottom. Airfix flying hours, they're cut out from the side of Airfix kits. I don't build a lot of Airfix these days, but each kit comes with a different flying hour on the side of it. You can keep them, add them, and then if you've collected 16 million of the damn things, you can get yourself a free £2 kit. They're not really not really worth bothering with, but this is what I call my decal bank. So every time I build a kit, I keep the decals for it, because you never know when you might need them. What's that? Nice. It's also where I keep the spares. What's that? Valinden Productions British Tank Crew, 1980s to 1990s. I've never really been one for building figures because I just can't get the skin tones to look right on. Yep, Valinden Tank Crew. Another Albion alloy sanding stick. These are the snips I used. They're, God, probably 20 years old now, and they are relatively past it, but I'm quite fond of them. Perspex plastic card and a bit of copper, that's from Challenger. I haven't finished yet, so this is the desertization sprue from that Challenger, and it's got the side skirts that I didn't really want. Don't like them, horrible things, and all the extra up armouring, but I've kept it for now. I much preferred the much thinner side skirts like I was on the other video, and I'll do it when I finish it. I'll do another video on finishing it off. That's got the crew from it. Again, I don't do crew. Jerry cans and some other bits and bobs. That's the instructions from it. I think, no, that's the decal sheet from the B-29 atomic bomber, Enola Gay and boxcar that got the nuclear bomb on it, or atom bomb, H bomb, whatever you want to call it. Tamiya Challenger 1 decals I've not used. What's that? Oh, that's from the Scorpion Miniatures upgrade kit. Some 172 scale weapons. Don't know what that's from. That's from an old Land Rover kit. That's from Airfeed Club's Scorpion. That's from Tamiya's M113. Some chrome. Who doesn't like a bit of chrome, eh? That's from a truck kit. That's my address on it. Hopefully you didn't see it, but I'll blank that out in the video because I don't want anybody sending any dog poo through the post to me. And in the bottom, I've been looking for that. So in the bottom, this is where all my bits and bobs tend to live. All the bits that you think, oh, I might need that one day. Stowage sprue, I've been looking for that. Plastic bag. Again, that's a Challenger 2 sprue. So this is the up armouring from an AFV Club kit. In fact, no, it's not. It's the up armouring from a trumpeter kit. So what I'll do is I'll just combine combines the two. So you can see, so this is Trumpeter's palm ring kit. So you can have a look at the mouldings on there compared to Tamiya's. So I've put them side by side. Not too bad. And the frontal armour there compared to, where is it on here? There's a bit more detail on the Tamiya one. It's got individual bolt holes where this has got bolts in the middle. But that is that. So whilst I continue to rummage through my box of crap, I shall leave you. I'm going to enjoy some tasty Abbott. I shall leave you to enjoy your weekend. Thank you very much for watching. Like and subscribe and all that jazz. Or don't. I'm not your dad. Whatever. And remember those 3 rules of your parents did your best, did their best. Don't let anybody label you. Be your own unique, weird self. And be the dad that your kids think you are. They already think that you're amazing and know everything. So carry on being that all-knowing, all-powerful and brilliant dad. Or mum, if you have any female watching this channel. However, I doubt that considerably. So, thank you very much. See you later. Bye.